Welcome to Infidelity Nest. In today's video, we're diving into a story that explores dignity, compassion, trust, and the power of a single choice to change the entire course of someone's life. So sit back, settle in, and listen closely. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a journey that will stay with you long after it ends. Marcus Davis had never forgotten the taste of being poor. It didn't matter how many zeros now lived in his bank account or how polished his life looked from the outside. Those early years of struggle were carved into his bones like tree rings, marking the hard seasons of a life weathered. Even now the memories lingered. Nights sleeping in his car with an infant daughter. Daisy pretended he wasn't hungry so that Lily could eat. Moments he calculated every dollar like a man trying to stretch. Seconds into minutes. So when he sat at a small wooden table inside Riverside Bistro, warm little restaurant tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop, and watched Lily dip her chicken tenders into ketchup, he noticed the two figures at the entrance instantly. A young woman in a faded blue dress that had clearly been washed too many times. A little girl with messy blonde curls that looked soft even from across the room. The woman studied the menu with an expression Marcus recognized like an old scar, eyes flicking back and forth, not for preference or taste, but for price, for survival, for whether she could manage today without sacrificing tomorrow. He had done that same mental math so many times that he could read it on her face, like subtitles. But what caught him most wasn't the woman. It was the little girl, her daughter, he assumed, whose eyes locked onto Lily's plate. A plate overflowing with crispy golden tenders, warm fries, and a small dish of honey mustard. The girl didn't speak. She only stared. Stared with a hunger so deep, so honest, that Marcus felt something inside him clench painfully. "Daddy," Lily whispered, leaning closer, "why is that little girl looking at my food like that?" Marcus forced a gentle smile. "Maybe she's just curious, sweetheart." But she wasn't curious. And he knew that in his soul, because once, not so long ago, he had stood outside a bakery with baby Lily on his hip, jingling coins in his pocket, counting again and again, praying that maybe he had miscounted. But the truth stared back at him. It wasn't enough. He had walked away, the smell of warm bread trailing him like a mockery of dignity. Across the restaurant, woman Sarah spoke to the waiter in a soft voice that carried the weight of exhaustion. She pointed at the cheapest item on the menu. Cheap enough to avoid embarrassment, but still something she could split with her daughter. The waiter nodded and walked away. When he returned, Sarah opened her purse. Marcus watched her hands tremble as she sorted through wrinkled bills and loose change, the universal currency of people trying to survive quietly. The waiter leaned toward her, speaking in a hushed tone. Sarah's shoulders stiffened. Her face fell. Then she stood abruptly, grabbed the little girl's hand, and made for the door. But the child in her turned once more. Turned and looked back at Lily's plate with an expression that wasn't desperation, but longing. Pure, unfiltered longing. Something in Marcus broke open like a seed finally cracking after too much pressure. "Stay here." "Honey," he murmured to Lily. He rose from his chair quickly enough that his knee brushed the table, sending Lily's napkin fluttering. He crossed the restaurant in long, quick steps and reached the door just as Sarah pushed it open. "Excuse me," he called. "Please wait." Sarah froze mid-step. Her head turned slowly, and the look in her eyes wasn't one of firet, was the hardened, cold mistrust of someone who had learned again and again that the world was not a place of kindness, that strangers did not approach unless they wanted something. Her entire body braced, not for harm, but for humiliation. "Yes," she asked. The single syllable carried a sharp warning. Marcus raised both hands slightly, palms open in peace. I thought maybe you and your daughter might like to join us for lunch. We have plenty of food." Her answer cut through the air like glass. No. It was final. Not angry, but absolute. "We're fine," she added. "I didn't mean to offend you," Marcus said gently. "I said no." Her voice cracked just slightly. enough for him to see that underneath the frost was pain-deep old pain. "We don't need your charity." She turned sharply, pulling Emma with her, and walked out. Marcus stood there, hand falling uselessly to his side. Watching them disappear down the sidewalk, he felt a hollow ache in his chest, the kind that comes from witnessing a wound you cannot touch. He returned to the table slowly. "Is the little girl okay, Daddy?" Lily asked quietly. "I hope so, sweetheart." He brushed a hand across her cheek. "I hope so." But the truth was heavy. That woman, that child, he had seen something in Sarah's eyes that went beyond money. A history, a betrayal, a reason she flinched from kindness as if it burned. He had once worn that look himself. The look of someone who had been offered help with one hand while the other hand held invisible chains. The kind of help that demanded repayment treatment that cost more than money. Marcus hadn't found real compassion until he met George, the owner of a small diner who hired him when he had nothing but a baby and exhaustion. George never treated him like charity, never acted like Marcus should be grateful. He treated him like a man capable of building a future. That small, radical respect had changed everything, and that memory stirred something restless and determined in Marcus. Now, he didn't want to save Sarah. No one deserves to be saved. But he did want to open a door, the same way one was opened for him when he and Lily later walked out of the restaurant. She tugged his hand gently. They were really hungry. "Daddy?" Marcus stopped walking and knelt to her level so he could look into her eyes. "You're right," he said softly. "But sometimes people who need help are scared to accept it." She asked, confused. "Because sometimes," he said slowly, choosing each word with care, "the people who offer help want something back. And that something can hurt. It makes people afraid. It makes them not trust anyone." Lily frowned, processing the idea. "Then how do you help them?" Marcus exhaled. That was the question, wasn't it? The question he had been asking all day. "I don't know yet," he said honestly, "but I'm going to try to figure it out." That night, long after Lily had fallen asleep, Marcus sat at his desk, the soft glow of the lamp casting shadows across papers and books. His thoughts kept circling back to Sarah and Emma, the fear in Sarah's eyes, the hunger in Emma's, the way trauma could make generosity look like a threat instead of support.